What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let me know if you guys did anything fun over the weekend or just kind of hung out, chilled out for a little bit, and waited in anticipation for this market to to reopen up. We'll see what happens. But we got Albert now. Good morning to you. Alexander, good morning. We got Anna, good morning. Andy, Bill, Corey, good morning to Jason J, Jeff, JT, Lauren, Miguel. You guys are piling in. We got Mike is good morning. Randy, Tim, all my peeps out of YouTube land. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you guys have not done so already. But no, so the market was kind of giving me the answer yesterday, Friday, that we wanted. We said we got down into the zone I was watching pretty heavily. That comes from over here with some pretty solid support. So somewhere in this 494 zone. Again, we hit that all after hours, pre-market. We well, more or less got that bounce back pre-market. And then the question was for me, do we come back down and do we retest? Could it be a 50% retracement? Do we go all the way? It looks like we went pretty much all the way back down. So we have a little double bottom potentially. Still lots of selling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row after this little gap and go from back here on the, well, I guess the 12th. So we'll see. But this is now my next big level. I think we start to break this down. Okay, fantastic. We probably come well, not fantastic if you're bullish, but next spot I really got down on my chart is a mini level, probably 491.46 on SPY. Otherwise, it starts to get a little bit ugly. So 480, 487, and I think 481.91, 481.99, and then a bigger level takes us to about 475.62. So we do have a lot of room to go if we don't bounce here, if we don't hang on to these levels. So I'm still going to watch Friday's low. I'm actually kind of glad that we got that printed on the chart because otherwise it was in the zone, but none of it would really be showing on the charts, even with the extended hours on. Miguel says 6 selling days in a row, biggest volume on Friday. If we close above Friday's candle, would it be considered a trap or the volume isn't significant enough? No, we do have a lot of volume. Double-edged sword on that question, right? So if we go back to pre-market and after hours, we have already gotten all the way down to those levels already, right? So the after hours move, I think that initial selling out of the gate took us down there. We retested it there. So those were already the spots that I was looking for. The question for me, and I think that was, we had a decent amount of volume just after hours. Market was going crazy. We had geopolitical tensions and then problem solved, I guess. I don't know, but we already pretty much did exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I think if you're a trader and you, especially if you want to be a full-time trader, you do have to be a little liquid with your opinion, and the more stubborn and hard-headed you are, the much tougher it is to be successful because you can't cut those losers quick. You tend to want to hold them longer. But so my question was, okay, I think that was capitulation after a lot of selling. I don't know, and I don't think that the market is completely done selling. It may, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But what I'm looking for is at least some kind of bounce after this many days in a row. So I do think that is a good sign for us. And then whether we end up rolling and this becomes some kind of a 1, 2, longer term 3, 4, 5, takes us to the 470, 475 zone we were talking about earlier. I think this is very, very much still possible. So I don't want to say that the rut is over and this is the next all-time low. We don't see this one for another 30 years. I think it's very possible. And we have some things coming out this week that could make this definitely happen. So can I look at this chart? I mean, we've been massively bullish longer term for the last few months. And if we're going with the longer term bull trend, yeah, we're still kind of bullish. This would just be one big pullback, enough to get us up to new highs. So I don't know which direction. I'm not saying this is out of the question. I think it's very doable, but I do think there's a bounce spot somewhere in here that could be short term. It doesn't have to be, we just start flipping on all the gears and rampaging back. The other thing, the other key piece is the market, even though it was a big down day on Friday, it really was not as bad. I mean, it was just more rotation. It wasn't we were selling all stocks and just flushing. We had good rotation into what I call the safety plays. So those companies that have Fortune 500 companies, the ones that have been around for a while, the dividend paying stocks. If you were to see a big market flush and sell off, nothing would hold up, right? So we wouldn't. We were seeing more rotation than just pulling money out of the market. So it's a little bit different. But tech just got absolutely beat. Nvidia got clobbered, SMCI got clobbered, AMD got clobbered. So the storage stocks, the ones that were all AI that helped to drive a lot of this run, most of that run, I'd probably say, those guys started to fall apart a little bit. So now we have to wait, see if they're going to get some kind of a bounce. But right now, it does look like rotation is kind of moving elsewhere. Energy looks still pretty strong as well. Healthcare, I think, was getting a little bit of a pop, but they've been beat up for a couple weeks now. So there is still some buying that kind of matches with the selling, right? Dow, I think, actually ended positive, if I'm not mistaken. But so I'm not seeing complete weakness yet. And then the big thing that we have coming up this week is earnings. So we got those big earnings. You'll see a lot of those E's on your calendar. Tesla, the big one. That one comes out tomorrow after hours. I think we have UPS before that tomorrow morning. So UPS probably kicks us off. But Tesla will be the one that I think people will watch a lot for tomorrow. I think we also have Meta on, I don't know, is that Wednesday? I think we have Snapchat, which is not going to move the market like it kind of used to a few years ago. I'm trying to think of what the other stocks are that come out. I don't know if we have any chip stocks. Intel, we do have Intel coming out, I believe. So big heavy week on earnings that could change obviously a lot of narratives, a lot of things, and we'll see if they're still making a lot of money on these companies or they start lowering those guidance, lowering those expectations, and then that could set us up for a bigger drop. So we'll see. But poor Tesla. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But otherwise, watch the lows from Friday. We start getting back under that. I think we have a little issue to the bull side. The bull case is not that strong either. So don't get me wrong. I'm not full on bullish. Bull case 509. We will probably be the upside resistance. The good news for bulls is we've already hit that now. So we can get past it. It's a little bit easier this go around. Still doesn't give us a heck of a lot of room. So 507.77. And then again, lots of earnings coming out this week. So maybe we're just kind of setting ourselves up for a little bit of a chop day. And then we'll see what some of those earnings want to give us and what direction. But here's the Qs. So the Qs obviously just got clobbered. Not much support on the Qs still. Targets, initial target we almost got to, but not quite got there yet. So 411.30, 409.26, just big candles to the downside on this one. And then the next kind of real big spot would be about 405.19. And if that doesn't hold, we get back to 396. 396.58. So there's still a lot of room to the downside. Also, where we're opening today, resistance, I think, still comes in around 419. So it gives us about $2 to the higher side. If we could break through that, maybe we see 421.48, but I think there's still a little bit more weakness in the tech sector. And I think probably we continue to see that rotation a little bit at least. TLT. TLT pre-market is 88.70. Not a strong look for TLT. Although we are grasping onto a little bit of support. A little support. So still a little weakness in tech. Banking, maybe a little weak still. And then some of those probably 3Ms and things like that. MO. I think Altria does report on Thursday too. We could look at coin. Yep, I think Riot and Mara were being watched today as well. Let me just see if I missed any before CRM. Nope, CRM is the first one I'm seeing, so take a look at that one. CRM. Yeah, interesting little gap. Gap up. Tech sector stock gapping up. And they don't even want to give me the news on that one. Let's see. 18 minutes ago. Traders await big tech earnings. Yeah, I would say so. I would, I concur. I concur. Let's see. CRM in equities, shares of Salesforce were 3.5% higher. Pre-bell following media reports, the company backed out of negotiations to acquire Informatica. So they're going to save some cash on that balance sheet, which is good, at least for the short term. I don't know too much about the deal in general, though. But that is a nice little gap and go. We are at a little bit of resistance up here. If we can get through that, I mean, I think everyone's going to be looking at this gap fill 295.22. I think we got a couple spots of resistance prior to this 285.93, but this was technically retested on the gap down day. So that was already retested, but that's still probably our next little resistance. And then back to 289.74. That's my bull case. The tech sector looks weak. My question is, we got this gap fill. I think there's going to be a little resistance there. How excited would I be to want to hold on to these stocks in the tech sector, or look at this as a gift to get out? I think I'd be shaving at least a couple shares off. Probably obviously not a long-term position, but yeah, I'd be cautious on this. So far we haven't seen buy the dips in tech yet. We'll get this one higher on the list. The other one that's before we get to the other tickers, just to kind of feed off the CRM scenario. If we look at pre-market on Nvidia, we were up decent and then we started giving a lot back. So we got up to 784 pre-market. So we had a nice little gap, 25, $26, $25 jump. Just decent. And then we gave it all back to where we are sitting to about $10, maybe $5 we got down to. So that's already a big drop. We have our pre-market little VPOC sitting at 774. Here's our first break. This is our retest. I think this comes down. So I'm assuming most tech comes down with it, but we'll watch that level close to that pre-market earning as well. HD. HD, nice little gap up. And we do have a little so that's the thing. I mean, we do have a little relief. Even on the Qs and SPY, we're jumping up. I just don't know how long it lasts for. I I would be more suspect for a shop day than a big strong day today. HD right into that resistance on this gap, so pretty decent. Not crazy on volume, but at least we had a little level of just consolidating. So I like that. If we could get above it, and we'll throw this one higher on the list. If we could get a little bit higher, so if we could get to like 338.07, then we have some decent room up to like 342. That might not be a bad look, but we do have to get a little bit higher. Would prefer probably just straight gap up, or I'll take the high wave on that one. We get a little bit of a pullback at open, some kind of high wave indecision. We could take a break of that, and then where that break hopefully is right above that zone. That wouldn't look too bad. JP Morgan. These off. Decent day Friday. Again, we had a little strength in certain places. Actually, we had a lot of decent high tickers. Unless you're sitting tech heavy. So JP Morgan got a little bit of a rally, which is good. Trying to fight back after earnings. We're above a lot of support on this one. I would like to see a little pullback. This is a retest gap, so maybe a pullback to like 184.73. TLT is not looking that strong today, so we might get this pullback here. We're above the 50-day moving average at open, so that's pretty kind of decent. I would imagine looking at this 188.29 would give us that opening price from earnings, the earnings drop, and probably some resistance on that spot, even if you're playing a dead cat bounce from here. Yeah, getting up to that 188.36 zone would be decent. And then obviously if we can get through this gap fill, I think everyone has this gap in mind, 195. I don't know that we hit that today though. I would have to be pretty bullish or get some kind of Fed talk during the day that helps to guide us up there. But otherwise that resistance might be a little too much, I think. We got coin. COIN. Did everybody get your like I survived a halving t-shirts and stuff? It's a day. It's a day you can tell your grandkids about someday. Like back in 420, 2024. By the way, 420, 2024, you could write the numbers forward and backwards, the same thing. It's kind of wild. I don't know when the next time that happens, but we got Coinbase. So that is gapping up about $5. I got one little resistance right around 218.66. After that, we got 227.05 to the support side of things. We got 212.13. Otherwise, still definitely in this consolidation zone. We got two tweezers. So even if you're looking for a swing trade, if you really love Coinbase, it's maybe almost tweezers. Let's see what the low is. We might be off by a penny here. The low is 205.67. The low is 205.90. About 23 cents off. But probably a stop under there if you're bullish on this thing. You are going to have a little bit of resistance. I don't know if I would jump in here. See if there's some kind of additional pullback. This is also a bearish engulfing candle from Friday. And we're just kind of retesting almost into the bottom-ish of that one little green candle, the hopium. Targets to the downside. So obviously we got this 210.51. If that starts to break, imagine if that starts to break, we get further than this, but 204.91 will be the first one. After that, we're back into like this 198.50, 51 zone. A lot of charts look the same recently, at least. We have these strong head and shoulders. Strong head and shoulders, neckline would be somewhere about here. We didn't really ever come back to retest that. So even to the bullish case on a swing trade, I'd be looking to take most of my gains into the retest of that neckline. But right now we're still just kind of in this chop zone and almost about 50% each way on it. So I'd have to watch it a little bit. But again, if you are bullish on Coinbase, if you're bullish on the crypto space, you at least got a spot you can throw a stop at. So you could set some risk reward up. Snap. So they got earnings on Thursday, probably Thursday after the bell. Yep, Thursday after the bell. Uh, for the most part, we've been getting clobbered on earnings. I don't remember a stock that has fallen 20% more times than Snapchat after it reports earnings. Uh, the sympathy play on them is TikTok. So if TikTok gets news of any type of banning, that's good for Snapchat, and you've been seeing a lot of these runs. So I think recently we've had some TikTok news come out. Let's see. Take two. Do we have any? Is this job cuts as well? Or this is just the sector in general? Snap also plans to cut about 10% of its staff, part of its restructuring. So you're seeing this happen a lot, which would be interesting to see how this obviously 10% of Snapchat's still a lot, but the total of all the companies, Tesla, I think said 10 to 20%. There's a few other companies out there having some restructuring, they call it, which is a nice way to say you fired. You fired. But Snapchat, yeah, interesting looking gap. Uh, one more resistance, still right above us, $11.62. 11.95 is the next target. And then if people want to go bullish ahead of earnings, maybe we see this 12.36. I think that's gonna be a tough one to break just heading into the earnings on something that has been shaky after earnings. Here's our last big drop. I mean, and I think that was on good earnings too. Oh, yeah. Good earnings per share. Well, to a surprise side. Then they still lost $19 million. They still cannot hold on to any money, which is interesting. But yeah, if you're looking for that to be the retest, okay, retest off some support, trying to gap up past it. But I think still a little bit more to the chop side. We'll watch it. We got CNHI. CNHI. Interesting little gap down. Traders await big tech earnings. Tree announces CEO departure. Farewell, CEO. Farewell. Let's see why he left. Let's see. That's why they've been getting killed. Okay. Uh, I've got a big support resistance right here around $12.04, $12.02. We're gapping well below that. We're gapping below previous little this support was at 1169. Looks like we're set to open below that one as well. And then maybe we get saved around 1145, 1149. But I think if you're looking for a retrace, so you're looking to go bullish, I think you're gonna want to take your gains rather quickly on it. I don't know how much this is gonna hold up, but I'd prefer to lean on the bear side of this gap than I would to the bull side. So if you're in it bullish, it's probably very soon out of the gate, and we'll see if that holds up. Lucian says SQ. Emmy had a large volume spike. We'll take a look at that one too. Square, 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 square. Hmm. We're no man's land on it. It's a gap and go for sure. Still inside day. I probably want to see some kind of a pullback. The last little support on this thing was $7.36. But even this gap in general was a perfect little retest from Thursday. So we retested, we sold off, we closed kind of in this gap. Uh, you got the 200 coming in. That might save you $68.89. We've been trending bullish. Seems like there's a really good resistance around 79. I will just call it $8, but 79.61. Volume, we got really no liquidity in this zone. So the next real liquidity hits in the 74.70. And then liquidity starts to come in around 68.49, which is right around that 200. And that could still take us back to this 65. But we're retesting this previous consolidation where there was some support resistance. We had that nice little gap up break. We almost closed this gap. We didn't quite get there yet, but we almost did. That's 68.04. If the daily chart didn't look as downtrending to the bear side as it does, I'd be a little more interested in maybe going bullish. But that being said, there is some room if we could get back up there. So 72.27. I would like to see this thing drop a little bit first. And then it is also a spot we did break before. So if we could get there again, we have some chance of getting to like 73.40. All right, let's move square up a little bit. I don't think I want to be the first one in this one, but if we could get a good setup on it, and then as long as we're above $70.37, I'd be leaning to the bull side on it, see if I can make some kind of double bottom play. Something to that extent. All right, we got Disney. Take a look at that one. So there's a gap up. From the lows of this move, let's do a quick little fib on this one. Looks like we're probably somewhere around the 618. All right. Could be a little bit of a trap. This should be a retest gap. We have a ton of resistance in here. So again, if you want to try to play it off that 618, essentially from where that last hammer came in, which after earnings, that was a little bit of a decent bear trap. So anybody trying to go short, probably right underneath that, looking for that gap fill, immediately trapped on this thing, and then just took off from there. You did open below the 618, so that's not a great sign. But they managed to close pretty much essentially right at it. And now you're gapping up on a retest. So again, I'd probably see if we get a little pullback as close as possible to like 112.70. And then your stop essentially could go pretty much somewhere underneath that candle from Friday if you did want to try it. Wave count wise, even if you get a bounce here, you're probably in wave 4, I would assume. So on this little pullback, let's say this is a 1, 2. I think all of this is 3. One little bounce, 4, 5, and then maybe it takes off if you're going to. You got earnings coming out soon too. So be careful of that as well for swing traders. But okay. It has been putting in a decent little range recently. It actually, well, it depends. Depends on what day. So you're throwing in decent ranges, but then you do a whole lot of nothing, and then you get the random decent days again. So maybe today's a decent day, but I would like to see a little pullback and see if we could hold that 6188 again, which is somewhere around 112.70. Tesla. I think they're gapping down. Yeah, so they had some more price cuts over the weekend. Again, I do think we're in no man's land I mean, in terms of volume, there's nothing really that comes into this until this one, I'll say 122, but potentially slightly under that as well. And as another one, we got some big earnings tomorrow night. So make your plays. Make your plays if you're bullish bears. The positive side of their earnings coming out is they have almost no bar to beat whatsoever. They are down a lot as the rest of the market's gapping up. They got everything negative news after negative news. So maybe we start getting some kind of positive spin on them. Other than that, I think we're still looking more bearish than bullish. Out of the gate, however, this is a pretty nice retest gap. So I don't know if I want to be the first one to short this one, see if we get some kind of green candles, maybe 10 EMA to the bearish side. But I do think there's probably some more heavy weight coming in. We'll see. I mean, if it drops $10 a day, so today drops 10 from here at least, and then tomorrow drops 10, that takes me right into my 120. I might even at that point take a stab at some some of the calls, because now you're at my spot heading into earnings. But yeah, we just kind of lost a lot of momentum. I don't think we have any bulls trying to come into this one for right now. ME. So Larkin said ME had some large volume spikes Thursday last week. Thoughts on breaking above those selling wicks? I'm guessing these wicks here. Yeah, well, it's beat up. You're well off the highs. Keep in mind it's a 48-cent stock, so it could get a little bit more manipulated. The trend on this one, not terrific. I don't know that we were up to, maybe we were. It's 23andMe up to $20 at one point. That might be possible. I thought maybe there was some splits in here, but I don't know. But they've been getting obviously clobbered, heavy downtrend on this one. So if you want to throw an R at it, maybe above those two little wicks, but keep in mind at this price, this thing could get definitely manipulated a little bit. But that is the opening bell. So everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Should be a fun week. I do think it's gonna be a fun week this week. We'll see what happens. But we're still kind of in this like we're losing tech, we're picking up other gainers.